And the Pharaoh.
Actually, the best thing, if you're injured, is to grow up and be a man. Come on.
All right, welcome to a special Saturday edition of Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, only seen here on Village Connection Radio and live from Rockstar Studios. Obviously, I'm Mike Monty, and to the right is the star of the show, Jimmy Farrow.
Oh, hello out there in TV land.
And across from us is none other than legend Billy Jack Haynes.
Yeah.
Mr. Haynes, thank you for joining us.
Thank you,
Monty. You got it.
And the Pharaoh.
That's it,
Pharaoh,
my man.
That's Monty.
All right.
I think.
So have at it, Jimmy. Let's get this
All
thing
right,
rolling.
ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce our esteemed guest. Ring name, Billy Jack Haynes. Billy Jack Haynes, of course, is what he's known for most. He was also under the name of Black Blood at one point. Built 6'3", as far as the height, 245 as far as the weight, built from Portland, Oregon. Also at one point, built from a little town in France, huh? Okay. Black Blood, for that. Tucson, Arizona, when he was in Stampede. Trained by Stu Hart, nothing less than Stu Hart. Debut 1982. Retired 1996. Born July 10th, 1953. William Albert Haynes the third. There's three of him. Oh,
yes,
okay. All right. Of course, better known as Billy Jack Haynes. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Billy Jack Haynes.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
So how was your big event today in New York? Well, how long has it been since you've been to New York?
I haven't been to New York. It's been a decade
Wow.
since I've been here. Last appearance was in 2009 in Jersey, and it just went by like that. And
10 years.
Yeah, a lot of death in between that time, 2009 and now, and death in pro wrestling, as we just lost King Kong Bundy, as you guys know. And, it just doesn't get over very good with me. Randy Savage, Elizabeth, and all. I mean, Hercules, Henning. You can go on down the list. It's pretty
Long list.
Death is pretty heavy in pro wrestling. People think it's fake. Well, we're really professional stuntmen. We take some horrific stunts, and eventually down the road it'll all catch up with you.
Do you think it has to do with the lifestyle also, being on the road and, forgive me for saying this, the amount of drugs you guys take on a regular basis, things like that?
Yeah, it's definitely without a question, without a drug game. When I came into business, I was, a lot of people don't know this because I never did say it, but I was a cocaine trafficker. So, I mean, that just tells everybody knows about me. You got to keep it quiet. There's you don't get high on your own supply rule, and that's what I did. I did get a lot of professional wrestlers high, and I feel bad about that. Andy Gibb, who was with the Bee Gees, I also got high, and I was in California when I think he came out there in 1978. He had a big concert out there. He was like 19 or 20, and I lit him up for the first time, and he followed him all the way back, or he followed me to Florida in wrestling. And a lot of people, like you guys probably didn't even know this. A lot of people don't know, and I'm not proud of it at all. It sounds like I'm bragging, but I'm not. A lot of guys have died in pro wrestling because of me and Vince McMahon both. Dealing drugs. Vince did drugs and dealt them too without prescription drug.
Could you consider yourself one of the first cocaine cowboys, do you think?
Well, I wasn't to that level. I was doing maybe selling a kilo a day, which is a lot.
It's a lot, yeah.
That'll get you a couple of horses in the barn.
You ain't kidding, right?
Cowboy.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I was worth about maybe $8 million at one time.
Good Lord.
But the point is, what good is it now? I look back now and I really kind of kick myself in the ass.
What made you look in the mirror and say, what am I fucking doing? Like, what made you stop?
It was a number of things.
Okay.
First, my mother was murdered, and my uncle were murdered 5 weeks apart. When I was 15, I went into the. Before that, prior to that, I was brutally molested as a kid. So I grew up really violent. So then the drug scene was already there. My uncle was a gangster and a drug trafficker. And it just it was in my blood. The dad who raised me, because there's 5 people who could be my biological father, but the one that raised me was such a great guy, and I see him getting burned all the time, and really pissed me off because he worked 80 hours to put a week. Now I'm telling you, 2 jobs to put food on the table. And I seen that, how hard he worked. I just kind of grew up in pro wrestling. I grew up kind of a very controversial figure, and I always have been.
What made you decide to become a pro wrestler?
Well, I had a chance. I had an opportunity. I was trafficking first, and with the Medellin cartel. Actually, it was pretty big league. It was with Barry Seal, a guy named Barry Seal out of Louisiana.
Yep. Wow.
You guys know who he is?
Absolutely.
And my one of the guys who was a pro fighter, pro boxer, which was my first love, introduced me to him, and I went down to Louisiana and met him, and I became a runner for him for a while. And they had the Mena, Arkansas deal, where they wanted me to come in and actually work right alongside Barry Seal in Mena, Arkansas as a runner.
So real quick, Billy, if anyone doesn't know who Barry Seal is, there's a movie that recently came out starring Tom Cruise called American Made. It's about the whole cocaine early
Was the
day
Hogan
trafficking.
theme part of that movie, American Made?
No.
Wow, I'm a little disappointed. Okay.
Go ahead, Billy. Sorry.
Yeah, actually, that's a really, really good question, because he's done enough cocaine to light up half of Florida.
What you gonna do, brother?
Well, since you're rolling into Hulk Hogan, what seems to be, well, we all know what happened with Hulk Hogan with his racist remarks and things like that. Tell us your insight on the incredible Hulk Hogan.
Well, it's amazing. This just happened today. I didn't know. I did this personal appearance thing, and his daughter was there, Brooke, who was absolutely gorgeous, and she had probably most of the people around her, but there was seemed to me like thousands of people there today, maybe 2,000-3,000 people or more, maybe 5-6. I don't have no idea. We signed all day long, and with Hulk Hogan and I, we were never really tight. He's the kind of guy that got the major push, and he put wrestling over really well, but he couldn't work. He couldn't wrestle in the ring. He had a great interview, but in the old school, we used to have interviews like we're talking right now, and we had to be here all day long and doing, like, for Phoenix. It was unbelievable. We didn't get paid. You do Phoenix, you do Portland, you do New York, you do all over these interviews. You do maybe one day a week. You might stay there for 12 hours straight and do interviews. And during that course of time is when he would do his coke. And when he did his coke back then, he would snort it in the interview room, and everybody's seen him do it, and no one called him on it but me, because at the time I was selling it. I said, brother, man, why don't you just do a regular interview? A lot of times you see him, brother, let me tell you something, man.
Grinding his gums.
But that's how I got into character.
Looking on the floor for leftovers.
Yeah.
Not that I ever
gotta
did
work myself up.
But enough about the 80s.
I don't want to. People who know me in business, and you guys know that, I don't bullshit about nothing. So I just tell you straight. I just told you I was I worked for Barry Seal, and he ended up getting assassinated in '86, February 19th.
You know a lot more about this man than I do. You're gonna have to fill me in some.
And no one knew I was a cocaine dealer, so Hulk definitely knew, and there's maybe Kurt Hennig, and there's a lot of guys who did know, and Buddy Rose, and like I say, I'm not proud of it, but there's several wrestlers that ended up dying from it. Henning ended up becoming so hooked on cocaine, he died of a cocaine intoxication.
You clearly resent, from what I can tell, the hypocrisy of the business. Is that fair to say?
The hypocrisy of the business, yes. With Vince McMahon, when we're on the road, here's the difference. People said, well, what's Vince McMahon done that's different than anybody else, right? Why are you against Vince McMahon? Well, here's why. He was like a pimp.
Okay.
And we were like his flying prostitutes. In all the other territories that he took over, we were home every night. Now, you get banged up too, but we were at least home every night. You could have some kind of a relationship.
In the territory days, you're saying?
In the territory days,
Okay.
you'd be home every night. You'd never have to stay over anywhere. You'd see your wife, your kids the next day, whatever. When Vince took over, you're on the road sometimes 3 months.
Travel
at a time.
schedule becomes insane. Okay.
Well, you're 5 days on the. For instance, you're flying 5 days a week. You're in New York one day, then you're in L.A. the next, then you're in Montreal, and he'd do this on purpose. Sometimes you'd be in California for 3 days, but he'd have you all around. Then you get hurt.
Do you think that's a power thing in his head, that he enjoyed watching his cattle scramble? If you know what I'm saying?
Well, let me ask you this. Wasn't that the booker's job to hook you up on what schedule? My
Doesn't
question
Vince
is
oversee the booking,
is
though?
Vince really in charge of where you guys were going every day, or was it...
Was Vince in charge of everything, basically, like overseeing the booking back in the day, or
Vince
no?
was in charge of everything.
Okay.
So, yes, it's a good question. And I know what you're saying, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, both of you make sense. But Vince McMahon was, I called him last time on a shoot interview, Adolf Hitler. And I meant what I said, because I called him Vincent Kennedy or Vincent Killer McMahon, because so many guys died under that power struggle that was going on then. What it was mean to say, well, you're wrestling injured. Okay, so I got injured in, I was wrestling Harley Race, and it's on TV. I think it was the Boston Garden. And I went out and hit the back of my back hit the stairs that were coming up. Harley came out very professionally, and he said, "You okay?" He worked the referee and gave me all the time in the world. So I started taking painkillers, and if I missed a day, I was making between $8,000 and $14,000 a week. That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of scratch, yeah.
A lot of scratch with no union now. We're talking no union, no backing. So Vince, I'm going to take tomorrow off. Well, you are. Well, go fuck yourself. You got a job then. There's guys in line to take your spot anytime. So you'll wrestle injured. Here's what I can do for you, though. We got doctors of whoring over here, and there's 4 or 5 other doctors without a prescription now, mind you. You can take Vicodin, you can take Percocet, you can shoot yourself full of morphine like Davey Boy Smith did. You can get hooked on any fucking drug you wanted to, and he didn't give a shit. That's the problem.
So your problem is that Vince didn't care, right? It's Vince's company. Vince treated everybody just like cattle. And you know what? If you can't perform in a circus, get out, go somewhere else. I'm just going to replace you, that type of thing.
That was the attitude basically coming from McMahon.
Okay. I totally understand.
Yeah,
but
I'm not surprised.
What about the other promoters? You worked for Jim Crockett, right?
Didn't you have a big blowout with Mr. Crockett, if I'm not mistaken?
And you worked in Portland, didn't they? Didn't they all treat you guys the same way over there? I understood you at Portland, you got to go home, but Crockett, you were traveling. Didn't that guy treat you guys like cattle?
What was the difference between Crockett and McMahon? You clearly had a problem with Crockett. Tell us what went down with Crockett. I'm very curious.
Crockett was an angel compared to McMahon.
Okay, but you still had a problem with Crockett? Is that true or false?
You got to remember now. You got to go right back to the square one. I was a quote unquote unknown drug trafficker. Nobody knew. Eddie Graham knew. Lenny Montana, another wrestler who, I don't know if you guys know Lenny Montana or not. Okay. The Colombo crime family, one of the 5 families. He's probably my biological father.
Did this cause issues with these promoters?
Wait, hold on. I don't want to miss what he just said. You actually think he was your biological father?
There's a chance Vince McMahon Sr. is my biological father. And Vince knows that. That's why the last time I said when the Benoit killing, when I was wired on...
Let's go deeper. I want to understand why Vincent Kennedy McMahon Sr. could be a father, and then if you could elaborate on the whole Chris Benoit situation and your feelings.
Okay, we have to kind of take it back just a step, because I've got a little bit of the CTE. There's a $1 billion lawsuit against Vince.
Okay.
And I'm the one who started that up. Me and another guy that beat the NFL attorney. So I went to him and said, "Is there anything we can do about these concussions, having headaches every day?" And he said, "Yeah, there is." And next thing you know, they filed a $1,600,000,000 lawsuit against Vince McMahon. I started that, and I got 42 guys on the women and men on the lawsuit. So yeah.
You also had an aortic aneurysm, am I correct?
And I don't even know how I'm here right now. I had an aortic aneurysm in 2013.
So we're like family. I also in 2009 had an aortic aneurysm, so we're both
So
part
you
of the
had a
zipper.
blowout.
Actually, it didn't. And it was identified, and they were able to fix it before it blew out. So did you have the same situation where the artery was starting to bubble out, and then they were able to replace it, that type of deal?
I haven't had surgery yet. I was supposed to have it in October, and I didn't have it because one of the kids I raised, a young man, overdosed at 46. He's like my son.
Sorry.
So when he died, half of me died with him. So I said to hell with the surgery. It's going to kill me if I don't have the surgery within by August or maybe September. They said it's going to blow. So I have to go in and have surgery. So congrats to you. I'm glad you had yours.
Well, I really hope you change your mind. I understand.
Get that taken care of,
please. And I would recommend that you either have it here in New York City or go to Cleveland, Ohio. But anyway, I digress. Back to Vincent Kennedy McMahon Sr.
Vincent, here's just what happened. I told you about a little bit of the pro boxing background my family had and everything. There was a guy that my mother was dating, was having an affair with, who was a amateur, one of the greatest ever. And in 1952, what happened was Lenny Montana wasn't even wrestling then. He was part of I think he was a collector or a strong arm for the Colombo family. He flew out because this guy was such a good fighter my mother was dating, and they flew him back into New York. Rocky Marciano had just won the world's heavyweight title in 1952, September 23rd. I'm a big boxing buff. And Al Well was his manager. And Charlie Goldman, a little dinky lightweight, was his manager. He's the one that taught Rocky how to move in and out with his head and you're short and how to throw these short arm punches. Look how many guys he knocked out. So he was into this guy my mother was dating. And he come down there and whooped 2 or 3 guys' ass. So they wanted him really bad. Well, during the course of the 2 days he stayed there, Vince was at the Madison Square Garden. Jess McMahon, Grandpa McMahon, was there. He wasn't dead yet. He was still alive in 52. He died in 54. And then Vince McMahon Sr. was there. And Vince Jr. wasn't even born yet. If he was born, he was only 7. He wasn't even around McMahon then.
Tiny, right.
So they both, at that time, they double-teamed my mother. And, I found this out to be the truth because my aunt never lied to me and told me, and I finally got out of my mother. And then Lenny Montana told me when I was with Eddie Graham in 84, that's why I went down there, was to deal cocaine. I didn't go down there to wrestle. I'd wrestle. We'd be in, here's what I did. Monday we were in West Palm Beach, and I go down there, we get our cocaine in the Bahamas. We go there every 6 weeks. We come back with 50 keys. I could go deeper if I wanted to, but I'll just tell you quickly because I don't know how much time we got. We get 50 keys. It was my job as a wrestler to go to West Palm Beach on Monday and wrestle and deliver 1 kilo to a certain person there, and I get paid $4,000 for delivering it. It's $40,000 a key back then, sometimes between 30 and 50, but 40 say. And every day I'd make $4,000, so 7 days a week, you add it up, that's 28, 30 grand a week, plus my wrestling pay. And that's why they said, well, Billy Jack can't stay in one place. Yeah, they were right. I can't stay in one place because I'm dealing dope.
Right.
And you guys are the really...
Wouldn't it have been much easier just not to be a wrestler and just deal dope?
Well, when you're
But
wrestling...
it was intertwined. It was
I
intertwined.
couldn't pass up the double payday.
I get
It's
you.
intertwined.
I get you.
Besides, half of it's probably the client base, the wrestler.
Dude, you were jacked up too, man. You were you also
man.
you're juicing out of your mind,
I
obviously.
was doing steroids,
Huge.
but at that time, though, I'm being honest with you here.
Yeah, sure.
At that time, I was not doing any drugs at all other than steroids. Of course,
Right.
steroids, I'd be the biggest liar in the world. I was doing 2 cc's of Deca on Monday and 2 cc's of Tess on Thursday every week for 12 weeks.
Right.
Cycle 12 on, 12 off. If you don't cycle, you'll end up going out like John Studd did. Big John Studd,
Yep.
he did cycle.
He didn't cycle. That's where I got the cancer.
Did you enjoy being
Good guy, too.
Did you enjoy being a face in the business? Would you have preferred being a heel?
Oh, I wanted to be a heel so bad.
I'm thinking about this. It's like,
that's
they
me.
always had you like such a nice guy on camera, and I'm like, meanwhile you were probably like, I don't want to.
Yeah, but you know what? You had the face look, man. You were built.
He did.
You know, the girls were crazy about
Yeah,
you. Dude.
they're howling. Yeah.
I can remember, not that we're that much younger than you, but growing up, we'd look through PWI magazine.
Yes.
And we'd see you in Portland. We're like, holy shit, this dude.
Yeah.
This dude's rocking.
Well,
this
he won
guy's
the 5-time heavyweight champion in Portland,
So
if
when,
I'm not mistaken.
when you came to the WWE or F, whatever you want to say, we were jacked. I was actually in the
he
army
was
there.
always a
I
big
was
fan of yours because he's always been the lifter. See, the
So-
small guy's the pharaoh. He was always like Billy Jack.
Tell me a little bit of your feelings about Chris Benoit, Vince McMahon, and Nancy Benoit.
Wait.
Well, you see, now it's been 10 years since I've been, almost to the day, since I've been back to New Jersey, New York area. And I stand by what I said. First of all, if you just do the common sense to it, here's the common sense. If you know Chris Benoit like I did, and I met him in Calgary, there's no way he's going to kill the kid. He's a kid. And there's no way, first of all, if you use common sense, the kid was killed first. So you're telling me for 2 days, the kid lays there rotting, dead. And by 2 days, you're starting to turn color and smell, and he killed her. And then just stayed there. It didn't make sense. So then I started looking up these dates. I used to be a part of the left-wing party. I was a Democrat. I was as far left as you can get. I read the book on the rural radicals, Saul Alinsky. Was in the middle. Bill Ayers, Bernadine Doran, the Weather Underground. You could not get no more further left. I didn't believe in the Vietnam War. Excuse me. My brother was in Vietnam, and he's all completely so effed up right now over it. And I was going to go, but I come back, and I got in a fight with a guy, and I ended up spending 6 months in the stockade. I come back, and I was on the left. So anything I would do, I was a leg breaker, you name it, I did it. And I've done some things that I can't even say on this radio show. And if I did, they'd come right through that door right now. And I'm not that stupid. Because it's too late in life. I haven't got that long to live anyway. You're looking at, like I said, you're looking at a dead man. I should have been dead a long time ago.
Yeah, but you're going to get the procedure, so I don't want to hear this dead
It's
guy
not. That's not the reason.
Okay.
There'd be other reasons.
You lived a hard life, right? You did a lot of stuff, right? The risk
to
is
the
there,
metal.
right?
Well, you guys. Well, I'll give you an example. You know Bam Bam Bigelow.
Sure.
Okay, Bigelow introduced me to a guy when he was 20. I think he was 21 when I met Bam Bam in Jersey. And he introduced me to a guy, and my dad already knew the guy. His name was Richard Kuklinski. I don't know, do you know who Richard Kuklinski is?
Yes, man.
Okay, he ended up, and we were playing pool, and he said, damn, this guy is good, We were playing in Jersey. And then it ends up being Richard Kuklinski. He's this big guy, And he ended up jacking like 200 people.
Wow.
I mean, killing, murder, contract murder. And then
You
Bigelow.
guys are up on these guys. I got to do my homework.
Yeah,
man.
you got it, man.
Wow. I mean, I'm just getting
Billy,
into
I gotta
watching
be
The
honest with you,
Sopranos.
We
What
do
the
a lot
hell?
of homework for the show. Obviously, we know a lot about you, but I'm taken aback right now. I did not realize that you were this deep into this whole world. That's crazy.
You want to talk about the tracks?
Well, before we get to the tracks, I'm going to just get to you. You can call me also Black Blood, right?
Yeah.
Well, listen, there's Black Water, there's Black Underground, there's Black Death. Well, here's what I did. I stuck both my fingers up to the entire program, to our entire country, because CIA, everything is corrupt. Anybody who thinks 9/11 wasn't an inside job's out of their fucking mind. I mean, there's Building 47 on its own because there's a fire in the basement, comes tumbling down in 5 seconds. Oh, there was a fire in the basement. Everybody's like seals going, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden these planes hit 9/11. They hit, and they come down almost the same way. Okay, we'll accept that. Well, you guys or anybody accepts that, I'm not one of those people. I know it was an inside job.
Is it safe to say that you're finished with the political system? Both sides can go fuck themselves.
Both sides.
Okay.
Both sides. The Bush,
Fair enough.
Clinton. There's no political.
I don't want to
to
lose traction on your thoughts on the Nancy Benoit situation. So I want
Well,
you.
I'm trying to make
finish
you
it.
lose track.
Yeah, I know you are, bro. But I really want to hear it out of your mouth. I want to
So,
understand.
but
what
he
you're
obviously
thinking about.
doesn't feel that Chris,
Well, there's more to it, right? So, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a lot more to it. Go back to 1983. We go back way before Benoit in 2007. Go back to
Superfly.
Nancy Argentino.
Superfly.
Go and you become self-made men in pro wrestling or in the outside inside. Jimmy wanted to become a made man, and to become a made man, you got to take somebody out.
So wait a minute. So with Nancy Argentino, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. You're saying Jimmy murdered her to become a made man, didn't murder her out of like maybe being high and maybe just shook her up because he was a big dude. You're just saying he took her out.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. I don't want to go that far because I was not there. But the guy, let's just put it this way. I'll make this, I think you guys will both understand this.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy's brother was Coco Samoa, another one tough son of a bitch, man. And he was only like a 5'10", 5'9" Samoan, maybe 240. But you can hit him with a baseball bat and you keep coming. And he ended up being a strong arm for a mafia that I won't mention the name. Snuka was his brother, in the Samoan Island. Snuka got this girl pregnant, and Hogan was also with her. And so McMahon thought that it was Hogan's kid, and he's not even doing WrestleMania 1 yet. And here I am in Portland wrestling, and I'm selling coke there. I'm staying there with my dad, who's blind at the time with diabetes. Mm-hmm. My bio dad, my other dad, who raised me. My mother was murdered. I told you my uncle was murdered, so I stayed with my dad. And so I had heard about this happening. Remember the boxer guy I told you about, that was real good, that went down to Marciano? Well, he ended up turning pro. He was 24-0 as a pro. And he went to prison and he lost his last 3 fights and got out of it. And he became a gangbanger. And he told me flat out that there was a contract out on this girl, this Nancy Argentino.
Really?
Whoa.
So he did contract hits, and everybody who knows me in Oregon will say, geez, Billy, you got a lot of balls to say that. But anybody who knows the guy, his name is, you can go on, in fact, I'll even say his name so you can look him up. Good. His name is Harold Pinland, a.k.a. Willie Nelson, not the singer, but he's a boxer. You look up his record, he's 24-0. And then he went to prison, he come back out in 66 and lost his last 3, so he became a vice cop and a gangbanger and a hitman and you name it. So here I am now idolizing this guy, and he told me that there was a contract. And Richard Kuklinski was the guy that was supposed to take this girl out.
Mm.
Richard Kuklinski.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't kill a woman. He wouldn't do it. So
Miller, did you know that the Iceman didn't kill women?
I did not know that.
Well, you look him up, you'll see. You'll see.
What an asshole.
I didn't know that.
Go ahead, Billy.
Yeah, well,
I know you agree that he's an asshole too. Go ahead and say it, Billy.
Oh my God!
It's fine.
I didn't know.
Hey!
yeah, well, I've spanked a few, but I've never even hit a woman in my life. I don't believe
Okay.
that. Stone Cold hit my ex-wife, and I called him out on it.
Really?
But he was too chicken shit to come forward. You don't remember that a couple of years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, I didn't know that was your ex-wife, though.
Jean Clark is my ex-wife.
I did not know that. Wow. I
Lady
did not
Boston?
know that. Well, Steve Austin has been known to be an abuser for most of his. I think he's beat. I think he's beat most of his wives, right?
What?
And most of the viewers are going to watch this going to go, well, he sticks on one subject for God's sake.
I
Right?
know, dude. I'm
No,
sorry.
It's all right.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Because, it's the truth. My first wife was a Lady Blossom or Jean Clark. She's a great woman. And I married her so she'd stay here in the United States because she's from England.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to cut back to, let's go to 83. We got married in 83. In fact, February 9th, 1983, I married Jean Clark. which was 36 years ago, this February or last month, and so we got to cut back to '83. Come '84, I ended up knowing Phil Knight, owner of Nike's, lives out there in Oregon. So I get to know all these here criminals, all these here guys that do human trafficking. And I found out about the human trafficking element, and it really turned me off. So then these hits start coming up, and the guy who was the boxer who had the affair with my mother, and he was a hitman. He told me that it came in the lap of Lenny Montana. Lenny Montana was a pro wrestler. I told you that might be six. My son is 6'7". Lenny is 6'7". He looks identical to Lenny Montana, but he looks like Vince McMahon Jr. or Sr. too. So I don't know. I wanted Vince to get a DNA test the last time 10 years ago. He wouldn't do it.
So you did approach the McMahons.
I did approach and say, look, did you get a DNA test? But I did it for the Benoit thing because it's Nancy Benoit. The kid may have been his, but that was basically my way of. I was so high.
Oh, so you don't think that he impregnated Nancy Benoit?
He could have, but I don't think so.
Well, you really think Vince was cheating on Linda?
Gee, I wonder.
With boys and girls.
Oh, great.
Oh, do tell.
Okay. Yeah, that's a fact. But when we get to Nancy Argentino.
Wait, don't. First, there's no way Vince sleep with Pat. Did Vince sleep with Pat Patterson?
Well, he's been around for. They did this big work out of this house, remember? And he said, "Oh, I'm going to come out. I'm gay after 40 years, guys."
Legends
He's been
house.
taking it up the ass for the last 45.
They should have had you on, coming out, give me a fucking break. That would have been
everybody's
hilarious.
Supposed to now think, oh, he's gay.
Yeah.
Well, no, he molested. Tom Zink is a real good example.
Bill, you're aware of Jerry Sandowski's fall from Penn State with the molesting of children under Joe Paterno's watch. Should Pat Patterson be in jail?
Pat Patterson should be in jail. They should all be in jail.
There you go. Okay.
Okay, but let me ask you this question though, right? So you're Billy Jack Haynes. You're in WrestleMania 3. You come to the back of the locker room,
3, baby.
And you're done with Hercules. You come to the back room, and there's Pat Patterson boning some kid, right?
What?
No, I'm not gonna go that far.
Okay.
But I will go this far. That let me first finish this hit. Because
There's a lot of shit here.
Nancy Argentino.
There's a lot of shit here.
Nancy Argentino in 1983, and this will blow your mind because in May 11th there's certain dates that these hit people go after, and if you go the Titan Sports, that's Vince's Titan Sports, right? And who died May 11th was Rockefeller Sr. died on May 11th. Okay. So that would be considered a contract date or a hit date. John Rockefeller Sr. died May 23rd. That's a contract date. John Rockefeller Jr. died May 11th also. That's a contract date. What day was Nancy Argentino killed? May 11th. That was a contract date.
So there's a science to
in my opinion, he contractually killed Nancy Argentino because the kid was Hulk Hogan's and it would have ruined his business.
Whoa.
If the baby would have been Hulk's, there's not even a WrestleMania 1 yet. Vince hasn't been in anybody's backyard yet. He promised his dad, Vince
Hogan
Sr.
was tied into this female?
No, I'm just saying, Hogan was, a lot of people were with this Nancy Argentino, not just Jimmy Snuka. So, in my opinion, and this is just mine, he had her taken out May 11th.
Interesting.
And then Jimmy, he done his job, and remember Vince McMahon come running in with both feet and took care of Jimmy Snuka. You didn't hear Snuka for a long time. Vince took him under his armpit and he put him somewhere else, overseas, Japan. And that's it.
After hearing all the things I'm hearing, and I know this is going to sound strange, bear with me. I recently discovered The Sopranos. How much different is Vince McMahon from Tony Soprano?
I don't know.
That's a crazy question.
It sounds to me like Vince McMahon is a lot like Tony Soprano. If something pisses him off or gets in his way, he takes care of it. He's quick about it, too. And there ain't no mess. It's like, floop, floop, floop. Next. Who wants to fuck with me next? It seems like that.
So,
unless
Billy,
I'm missing something, Billy,
you know all this stuff, right? You weren't in the WWE in '83 or '8 when the whole Jimmy Superfly Snuka event took place. why do you go to the WWE, right? You
business.
possibility that Vince McMahon's father raped your mother.
Are you aware of
Pat
this?
Patterson.
No, not rape. Just had sex.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sure it was an unforced error.
All right. Pat Patterson raping children.
I didn't know at that time.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Vince being a scumbag, and like, why go work for him?
Were you even aware of the level of scumbaggery you were walking into?
And then weren't you?
No,
weren't you?
I wasn't until later, until the late '80s. You know.
Weren't
I
you really
quit.
scared though? Here you are, a drug trafficker, and you now look. You were a regional guy, so for guys like us, totally, we're into the whole Billy Jack Haynes thing. But you were regional.
Right.
You were pretty much putting yourself in the forefront to get bagged
Big
for
time.
selling drugs, right?
I could have been busted. I should have been busted in Orlando. But the whole thing is Vince McMahon himself had no money. He was looking for any kind of mafia money, any kind of money he could get to start the WWF. He couldn't wait till his dad died. Think about it. His dad died in '84. It was March. In fact, his dad died the same day that my mother died, but 15 years apart. May 24th, 1984. My mother was murdered May 24th, 1969. So they died the same day. That was kind of weird. And so he was never supposed to go in the backyard of anybody's. And next thing you know, Vince, boom, he's going over, he's trying to knock out everybody he can. So he wanted it so bad. Yeah, I think he would kill for it, and I would almost say 99.9% that he did do it. He did contract it out.
As he was taking over the territories, you assuming he was using some muscle to do this as well? This can't just be, by the way, I'm coming into your territory, move along. You know, there's got to be some muscle going on maybe behind the scenes, perhaps, as he was taking over the territories. Is that fair to say?
Well, let's put it this way. David Von Erich was killed over in Japan.
So wait,
Okay.
I'm not going to let that comment pass. You're saying David Von Erich was murdered.
I'm saying David Von Erich was murdered.
Holy cow! So why do you say that?
How do you feel?
Well, you kill David Von Erich, you get closer to the World Championship. Texas, you own Texas. Hey, you own Texas.
You still have the other Von
Florida.
Erich boys, right? And you had Kerry, you had Kevin.
David at the
They
time
were
was about to be given the
already
belt.
screwed up on drugs, man. I mean, the drugs at that time, before drugs were even cool, they were doing it. I think they must have been born taking drugs, and Fritz had to know about all of it. And he wanted me to go there and babysit. And Fritz knew about the drugs, knew about the cocaine, knew
Did
about everything.
Fritz knew you were dealing too?
Who?
Fritz knew you were dealing?
Absolutely. That's why he had me come in there. He wanted me to change my name from Billy Jack to Billy Von Erich.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. And
Wow.
I came in there in '85 when I was going to do it, and then Eddie told me that he kept getting these death threats. And so Eddie was the one that was, me and him was getting flying into the Bahamas every 6 weeks and getting the dope and bringing it back. And Eddie was a pilot. Eddie flew. And there was a guy I'm not going to mention because his family may be harmed. He flew in there into the Bahamas. We got the dope and came back. And next thing you know, Eddie commits suicide and quote unquote got shot 2 or 3 times in the back of the head. So if anybody thinks he committed suicide, you're on another planet.
So
All you got to do is look at the go back and look at it. They say he was
Okay.
despondent and he committed suicide. No, I know Eddie Graham. And Lenny said the same thing. Lenny Montana said there's no way he committed suicide. He was murdered by somebody.
So you're painting a pretty heavy picture on McMahon. So
Yeah, I am.
yeah.
Fuck him.
So here's a question for you then. Is the rumor of we've had Lonnie Poffo in studio, good friend of the show, great guy.
Yeah.
Randy Savage sleeping with Vince's daughter Stephanie. True? Not true.
True.
Okay, go ahead. True. That's it.
No.
So Vince kills David Von Erich in Japan to take over Texas, but the Macho Man has sex with his daughter and he doesn't kill the Macho Man.
I think Macho Man was murdered by Vince too. I think he took out a lot of guys. I think that when you got money like he has, and that's why I said why hasn't he taken me out? I don't know. I come forward. Since 1992, you can go on the internet and check it out. It's called Hard Copy or whatever it was. I was on that. No one has ever changed. Billy Graham's changed his mind many times. I have never. I have, since '92, Fuck Vince McMahon. I've hated that guy. I can't stand him. Hate's an awful word to use.
Well, if Vince ever comes for you, we'll put Miller in front of you and let him take out Miller, and then you'll be all right.
Well, then we'll be okay then.
Miller.
So.
Yeah. Miller's got a.
He's gonna soundbite that
Miller's
one.
Got a Mac 10 over there.
Oh, man, you're killing me right now. I got so many questions.
This
now.
is the greatest ever.
Wow.
He's my favorite guest.
What do you got?
You leave the WWE and you go to WCW, right? And he works as Bad Blood, right? Black
Okay.
Blood.
The Black Blood thing came in later. What I wanted to tell you about Nancy.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Let me finish that. With
Thank
Nancy Argentino is the fact that she's killed on May 11th, and the family it was up to 2015. They opened the case back up. Remember, they opened the case back up. They were going to arrest Jimmy Snuka.
Yes.
But Snuka went in there and he acted like he was insane.
The
and so forth.
dementia angle, or what? Yeah.
Yeah, it was part of the lawsuit that we had going on too. I don't know if in my opinion, I think he was working, but I don't know.
We saw
we
him.
met
He
him.
was he was lost.
I don't think he was working.
Unless
to
he
be
was working
honest.
us.
If he was
lost.
working us, he deserves an Oscar because, man,
Yeah.
it was a sad picture that day.
Well, I hated to see that too because he's a
Impressive.
very close friend of mine.
He was a sweetheart, but I'm not sure he was aware of everything. It was rough.
So
okay.
The day we met him,
That's fair.
it was rough.
So do you think Vince had the whole Benoit family murdered then, basically?
I do. I think they did because he knew he come onto the human trafficking also in Canada, and that's where Benoit was from. And if you got to remember that Owen Hart had fell to his death
99 May 23rd over
May
the Edge
23rd.
pay-per-view.
Okay,
Yep.
there you go. You said the date,
Yeah.
May 23rd.
There it
You
is.
look up
Yep.
anybody look up what day May
Rockefeller.
23rd is. That's Rockefeller was
Senior?
John Rockefeller Sr. died May 23rd.
This is
the
crazy.
same day. The same day,
This
May
is
23rd.
crazy.
Phil Knight's son was mysteriously died in Honduras in an accident when he was going underwater 60 feet.
No booking guests on May 23rd. It,
Yeah,
it
gotcha.
feels kind of
Well,
strange.
it's you do the homework.
Strange,
365 to 1 times 365 to 1. That's 144,000 to 1 odds. All these dates, there's probably
44,000.
12 dates on that.
It's an interesting number in
And
itself.
it goes way up into the gazillions, bazillions, and billions of zillions to 1 odds. Like getting
Wow.
50,000 decks of cards, and there's 52 cards in a deck, and you pick the right card 52,000 decks in a row. Can you do it? I don't think so. But they say 99.9, so it can be done. Like DNA.
Ultimate Warrior?
We're leaving out. Oh God, it was without a doubt. I'm the
day-
guy that
the
tried.
day
I'm the guy
after
that
he
tried
was
to tell
on
Ultimate
Raw.
Warrior not to go to be inducted in the Hall of Fame.
How
years
was
before.
that conversation?
It's because he took his. I think he went as a warrior. He took the thing to warrior, and you don't steal nothing from Vince McMahon. Nobody does. I don't give a shit who you are. And he took that away, and boy, Vince couldn't wait to get a hold. You could see it. He just couldn't wait. And when he went to Phoenix, Arizona, I think that's where it was, for WrestleMania, got inducted into the Hall of Fame. He was fine. Next thing you know, you look at him the next day, he's feeling kind of weird. Looks kind of weird. And there's this mafia drug that all you got to do is just say, "Hey, how you doing?" Like the spray that Kuklinski used to use. You poison.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And you just touch him now. You can just touch him now. Have a heart attack within 24 hours or 16 hours, and it's automatic, and there's no trace of anything. Well, lo and behold, Randy had the same thing in 2011. He died of a massive heart attack, and they said 90% of his heart was blocked or whatever. Bullshit. I want to see the autopsy report.
But
on that.
you don't think it's possible that these guys are doing cocaine? They're doing
not Randy.
Randy did no drugs.
Randy was clean, man. And then also when the Warrior went there in 2014 on that day, he didn't come back, did he?
No, he
came
didn't.
back dead.
You couldn't have scripted that any.
Give me some odds.
You couldn't have scripted that any better. You know what I'm saying?
some
The way
odds.
that- yeah, you're right.
And so in Vince, I seen the picture of him with Vince. And Vince got this double face going like this. And here's happy as could be is the Warrior because.
Has Vince McMahon ever called you up and said, "When are you going to stop saying all this shit?" Blah, blah. Has he ever dared confront you with, "What are you doing?" Blah, blah, blah. Anything? Has he ever picked up the phone and said, "What are you doing?"
Don't you know about the 1992? In 1992, I came down to be, but his Black Blood. We jumped up a little bit, and when he worked me, and Brian Adams and some other guys that passed away then, and Henning and a lot of guys. I went to get my gun. I was going to blow McMahon's head off.
Wow.
I'll say it.
So he
I
has
said
stayed
then, I
far
said no.
away from you.
Well, he knows I mean what I say.
Right.
And that's why I say I can't tell you everything I've done in my life.
Right.
I'd be behind bars.
Right.
And I'm not that. I am crazy, but I'm not that crazy.
Well, that being said, if they offered you to be part of the Hall of Fame, would you take the invitation?
I know it's out of left field. But would it
No,
be an
guys,
automatic
no.
FU?
No chance.
A billion, zillion, gazillion. No,
Forget
I would
it.
never. It's a joke to me.
Forget it.
And what the funny part about this, and now you brought the Hall of Fame up, was Honky Tonk Man. I had just talked to Wayne Parrish 6 weeks ago,
Finally getting in.
and he told me over the phone he would never go in there.
Mm.
Well,
And so what they did, they probably offered him a good amount of money to
sure.
do it.
Yeah.
Because nobody played a gimmick better than Honky Tonk
Oh,
Man.
he's the best.
Oh, he was great.
We love him.
Without a doubt.
Yeah,
he
was way
got into
overdue.
character. It was kind of an amazing thing to watch.
Way overdue.
And I actually
Look, that whole
idolized him.
cast, including yourself,
Yeah.
that era, that
was special.
changed the fate. That was a special
It was a
era in
special
wrestling.
era.
You should take a lot of credit for that too.
Here's what I don't take no credit. I look at myself like I'm a piece of shit, to be honest with you.
Really?
I lit up so many guys and got them so hooked on coke, and when Henning died, it about killed me because I love that guy so much. And when I know he died of cocaine, and
So you know how bad these guys are getting. Like they're just hooked, and that
Playboy
is
Buddy
it.
Rose. I mean, you can go on
Playboy
and on
Buddy
with the guys.
Rose. That surprised
Big fans
me.
of Playboy Buddy Rose.
We were big fans of Playboy
Big
Buddy
fans.
Rose.
Yeah. So,
Roddy Piper.
Piper, yeah. Well, there you can go on and on with guys. I think it's common sense. You go into it. You know who did and who didn't do it. The whole point is that I'm the one to help light them up. And when you do that, you have a certain amount of guilt that you take with it. And me, so I got on painkillers, so I was doing 30, 40 Vicodin a day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of Vicodin.
That's
to take
bad,
a day.
man. That's no good.
That is bad.
Painkillers and
That's a nasty drug.
yeah, it killed the pain. But the next day you go, I got to find more because
You're either sleeping or when you're awake, you're cranky and you don't even realize it because you're flying off the handle.
Are you
you
clean?
realize how much of a piece of shit you are. That's what I took.
Vicodin's rough,
It made me
man.
feel more comfortable with myself.
But are you clean now? Are you off everything now? Or?
I was up until I broke my ankle, fractured my ankle 3 months ago. I've been clean for 3 months, so if you want to call that clean.
Okay. Cleaner.
I'll always
cleaner.
be an addict. And addicts will tell you that heroin or whatever you take, cocaine, you're always going to be an addict. And it just takes one time to get lit up. There, you go back to your drug of choice. But the cocaine has killed a lot of people. Vince did cocaine. I'll tell you what, Vince did cocaine at WrestleMania 3. There's no question about it. A lot of guys were doing lines of cocaine. I was doing painkillers. I said before, the whole show would have been shut down if it had been the Kentucky Derby. Every wrestler would have been scratched because they were so doped up and hurt. Wrestling hurt every night. And that's Vince's fault too for not having a union look at it, Brett Favre broke his shoulder and was forced to go out and play because there was no union to back him up. People would be outraged.
Right.
Well, why aren't they outraged when a wrestler tears his ACL
I agree.
and he's forced to wrestle
I
and
do
shoot up
agree.
with
There should
morphine
be,
and gets hooked?
should be something for wrestlers.
We have a show on Sunday, the Evan Ginsberg show, which is on from 11 to 1 o'clock.
Most eclectic show on the radio.
You missed that one, Miller. But he's a big believer in wrestlers having a union. Isn't it the wrestler's fault for not having a union? I mean, doesn't the
Doesn't
onus
that
go on the
frustrate you that
wrestler?
they can't all get on the same page and somehow make this happen? That must piss you off that they can't get a union together. The wrestlers themselves, because Vince isn't going to do it. Vince don't give a shit about the wrestlers. Does it ever frustrate you that the wrestlers have not put a union together to stand up to him, to enforce medical? Any thoughts?
Okay, now the lawsuit, we're called independent contractors.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I came up with the lawsuit in 2014. I attempted to take my own life with Xanax. I took 40. I survived, vomited a bit,
Not
whatever.
a bad pill.
But a buddy of mine was killed in Benghazi, Tyrone Woods, who worked at my gym. He went into the Navy SEALs. Of all people, he happened to be the one that was in Benghazi. On top, and he was killed up there. It was remember 13 hours, movie 13 hours. There was 2 guys in Benghazi that were killed. Well, he was one of them. That took me from far left to as far right as you can go. And I'm proud to say I am a Trumper. I believe in putting America first and fuck every other country. We've helped every other.
Turn this off.
we've helped every other country in the world. It's time to help ourselves now. The inner cities are full of drugs, and that was made by our own government with cocaine and crack and all that. So yeah, now I'm as far right as you can go, and hey, we're not going to have enough time to finish this. There's more and more and more to go.
Right.
Do I think McMahon is a murderer? Yes. Do I think he killed Ultimate Warrior? Yes. Do I think he killed Randy Savage? Yes. Do I think he killed Owen Hart? Yes. Why did he kill Owen Hart? Because he got punched in the face by Bret Hart and knocked out and spit in the face and embarrassed. That's why he killed Owen Hart. There's a 2-ton catch that's supposed to snatch him from falling all the way down. Why didn't anybody ever say anything about that? And why did Vince reach into his own pocket and pay $18 million to the Hart family instead of letting it go to court like it was supposed to, and have the insurance pay it? Because he didn't want that bad publicity. Of course, Bret's got such a big ego. He went back in. He went back in and became the best there was, the best there always will be, and all that bullshit. Someone killed my brother, I'll kill him. I'll be the first to tell you if someone did that.
Eric from ESS.
What's going on? We got a little breaking news.
Get on mic with the Pharaoh there. First of all, can you tell the fans out there where they can see Billy Jack after Monty and the Pharaoh appearance?
Okay, so we're heading to Warriors of Wrestling tonight. That's in St. Finbar's Church School Gym. That's in Brooklyn, New York on Bath Avenue. So if you're in Brooklyn, New York, come support us. And then tomorrow, we're at the Fairview Fire Company in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and Billy Jack, Haynes, Too Cold Scorpio, and a bunch of other wrestlers are going to be signing autographs over there. Now, I'd like to breaking news here on the Monty and the Pharaoh show that I've been keeping back. Billy Jack Haynes will return next month for WrestleMania weekend, and will be appearing at the world famous WrestleCon convention. So we're going to be in New York City.
That's great.
The Hilton Hotel at the WrestleCon. Over 200 wrestlers are going to be over there, and Billy Jack Haynes is going to be one of the stars. And also, I got Val Venus in town.
Good.
Okay. So it's going to be pretty fun. We're going to stir the pot a little bit
I want to know more about that. But
next month at the WrestleCon, and we got Val's going to do the Joey Ryan penis party. So we're gonna Billy will be there signing autographs at the penis party.
Come a long way, Bill.
And it's just it's a wrestling show. That's all it is. It's a wrestling show.
Well,
and then we're gonna do the Shenanigans after party on a Saturday night, and a bunch of other after parties, and who knows, we may even go on a First Amendment walking tour with Val Venus and
and can I do this?
And remember, there is no BSS in
ESS. It's only one S.
I know, but I was like bull super shit.
You're high, aren't you?
This show could have went on for 3 hours. Mr. Haynes, thank you for giving us the honor of coming to the studio and the honor to be able to interview a legend like yourself. Thank you very much.
And to book Billy Jack Haynes for any various types of appearances, ESS, he's under contract to ESS Promotions, so www.esspromotions.com. That's your way to get Billy Jack Haynes if you want Billy Jack to show up at your show, convention, birthday party, bachelor party, bar mitzvah, anything. So yeah, any type of legal appearance, so we'll be there.
Perfect. All right, well, this has been another special episode of Monty and the Pharaoh. Catch us literally.
Like I'm not already? God damn it.
Catch us literally in 10 minutes when we're returning with Too Cold Scorpio. Once again, Mr. Haynes.
To be continued.
Absolutely. Thank you.
In fact, something we might. I might have him back in June. If you want to have him back in June, maybe we'll do another edition of Monty and the Pharaoh.
Might have to do like a 5-hour edition.
We need to.
Well, I tell you what. If I don't have any bookings tonight, we can go for.
We may need an extended.
We could go an extended edition.
Like always, we'll talk.
All right. Hey,
Sounds good.
listen, it's. Always fun when Billy Jack's in town. It's always informative.
It's very informative.
Exactly.
Thank you for coming back to the scene after all these
I got to
years.
be honest
Thank
with you. Being a professional wrestling fan, I'm feeling a little dirty right now.
You're feeling a little
A
dirty.
little dirty. And that takes a lot.
Listen, Billy Jack, he's sensational. Sensational.
I woke
Sensational.
up dirty.
There you go.
All right, anyway, catch you in 10 minutes.